They ready? You ready, guys? Ready to go. All right. I'd like to call to order the May 1st, 2023 meeting of the West Bridgewater School Committee. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence. Thank you. The listing of matters on tonight's agenda are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may be, in fact, be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting is being shown live on cable and is being live streamed on the West Bridgewater Community Access Media website, wb-cam.org. A recording of this meeting will also be made available on the wb-cam.org website. We do not have a student rep today, so the first thing up is the approval of minutes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the April 10th meeting minutes as presented in our packet. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, so moved. Superintendent's update, Mr. Bodwell.
All right. Our first agenda item is Will Lucini asked to come to speak today, so we're going to allow him to speak and show a video for us.
Thank you. First and foremost, I wanted to thank all the board members, Chair. Thank you very much for having me today.
Sure.
Much appreciated. So today we're going to be playing a video just to raise awareness of what it is to be a school bus driver. Okay, some of the best rewarding positions that we have here in the district. We make sure that the students get home safely every day, get to school safely every day. So we put together a video of a couple testimonials that we have from some of our drivers. As I was talking to Mark on the way in here, in West Bridgewater currently now we have 6 drivers. Actually 5 of them all have had children within the school district in the area, whether it be East Bridgewater, West Bridgewater, Bridgewater Rainham. So some of our best drivers have come from parents of students here in the districts nearby. So we really just wanted to raise awareness, like, share on our Facebook, just to get the word out there a little bit more of what it is to be a school bus driver. So thank you, guys.
I wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to help people. I love to mentor other nurses.
One of the reasons why I'm a school bus driver today is because I'm a single mom.
It's a little off here.
I have a 9 and 6-year-old, and daycare is too expensive. So I needed to find a job that would work with me, having school vacations and weekends off, and being able to take.
Yeah, it's like kind of like cut in half almost.
Take my children to work with me.
I don't know what it's doing right now. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful.
So these are some of my great memories from when I was driving. The best part, what I always say about driving, is the littles. The kindergartners get on and they're so excited because they've never been on a bus before. And they're sitting there and they're constantly asking you about what you're doing, what the bus is doing. And then you'll find after a couple of weeks, after they've gotten into school, they'll send you notes and make you pictures. And like this one says, "Dear bus driver, you're so great at driving." It's just really, you get to know them really well. And then you also get to know siblings as they get older if you stay within the same route, which a lot of drivers tend to do that because they get really invested in the students and they feel like they know the family really well. So you get to watch them grow from kindergarten up until, say, 5th grade, and then maybe a couple of years off, and then you get them back, depending on how the route works. So I would say the littles really make every day worthwhile when they get on and they're so excited for school, and they tell you all about it.
best thing is the hours. I mean, being able to go to work in the morning and then have my late morning to early afternoon free. As a mom, it allows me to get errands done, doctor's appointments. It just gives me that freedom I wouldn't have being, stuck at a job 8 to 10 hours a day. What's nice is the schedule. It's Monday through Friday, no nights, no weekends, no holidays. When my child is out of school, I'm out of school.
So we started in 1959 as a family-owned company, still are, but we've been in operation for over 60 years in this community. We've held the West Bridgewater contract for over 60 years, and we've just always been able to grow. So we ask just the community if they're interested to just take it into consideration. Thank you.
I just want to thank you, the staff, for the training you do. We're lucky we've got our drivers, 6 drivers. They do a great job, and what's most impressive is they really care about kids, and they're there for the kids. So I see them as they come off at Spring Street interacting with the kids and talking to them, and it's a nice thing to see and to know that they really care about what they do.
They do. Thank you.
Great job on the video. Did you work on that?
So it's been, we've had this kind of brewing for a while. You see a lot of competitors around the area doing stuff along those lines, and we said, guys, it's time. It's time for us to do it. So I got a drone. I went out there myself. We drone shot a couple of the videos there and just compiled it all together. But yeah, we wanted to make sure that we hit home. We wanted a happy-go-lucky feel on this video, really just get people warm and fuzzy about what it is to be a school bus driver, because like I said, it's very rewarding. You get to build the relationships with the families, and it's all good stuff, really. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. Thank you, guys.
I think we're going to skip next to Nature's Classroom. Mr. Lehman's going to talk a little bit. We've got some wonderful students here. Before he talks, I just want to say I got to go back up to Nature's Classroom again this year. Absolutely the best trip we offer for our kids in 6th grade. Huge thank you to our staff and chaperones. It's 4 packed days of activities, but they're on 24 hours a day. So really, these trips wouldn't run without the support of our faculty, staff, and the chaperones that go. And they just have a great time. So glad you can talk.
And I asked Ms. Wenzel last week, I believe she wasn't exactly positive about the 23rd or 24th year that the Howard School has gone in the 6th grade to Nature's Classroom. So when Mr. Bardwell put this on the agenda, I thought it'd be nice to hear from some of our students. Compared to me, the day I went, it was like 85 degrees, very hot, and it was a great time. It was a long day, tiring day, but it's always nice to see them when you get there, and they've been there for a couple of days. Miss Hannah Dragonetti and Miss Kay Jones also presented at our school-based assemblies one of the months, and they both did a phenomenal job, so they sort of came to my mind when I was thinking about presenters. So I know Miss Dragonetti is going to go first, and Miss Jones is going to go second.
Does this thing work? Okay.
Let's try.
Hello. No, it doesn't work. That's sad.
Louder. I think it does. That's fine.
I don't need to use it anyways. Okay. Nature's Classroom was one of my favorite school trips in the past 7 years that I've been in school. It was not just an ordinary trip. You get to embrace your true personality and feel like you are never alone. I did not feel afraid of being away from my family. I felt brave. I got to do so many new activities and really got to know my schoolmates and my teachers because I was living with them for 4 days. One of my favorite things that we did there was the classes. I loved the fetal pig dissection and civilization building. I really enjoyed being able to be in Nature's Classroom in nature for 4 days. There were hiking trails, climbing rocks, a huge beaver dam to cross, and even a playground. While I was there, I practically forgot about my electronics, and I have a feeling others did too. Nature's Classroom is a place where you can hang out with your friends and at the same time learning many new things, not just school lessons, life lessons too.
For me, Nature's Classroom wasn't just about learning in the woods and realizing you can live without your cell phone for a week. It meant something else. It taught a bunch of things, but the one big thing it taught me was to branch outside of your friend group. I had fun with everyone. There were tears that were shed at moments, but the 6th grade helped each other out. I learned that people I never really talked to had the same interests as me. The first day was a weird day only because I'd never been to a place where I had to stay overnight with my classmates. There were a bunch of new activities that I learned. My favorite part was when we got to our cabins, but also the quiet sing. The quiet sing was a pain because it was too loud, but it was also fun to sing with my friends and laugh with others.
Thank you. Excellent job. Thank you. Way to go, ladies.
Thank you both for sharing that, and thanks for being so brave to come up here, but also to go away for 4 days. It's a lot. So what would you say to people who next year might be nervous about going, or parents that might be nervous about sending their kids? What would you say to them?
I would say to the kids that it is scary at first because you don't know what's going to happen and what's going to look like. But I feel like it's just time for the kids to be away from their family and their siblings, so they have time for themselves. And for the parents, I feel like it's an opportunity to see that your child is growing up without just like physically seeing.
Excellent, thank you.
And I would tell the kids that you're pretty much literally there about your parents. While I was there, I literally forgot about my mom. I was so focused on doing everything else and loving everything else that if you find it and you really like it, you're literally, all of your fears are going to just disappear because you're having like the best time of your life. And the parents, I would tell them to not worry about them because they're in really good hands, because the nature classroom staff are really nice and they wouldn't like be like rude to you or anything.
Awesome. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to say, I know you already said this, Mr. Rodwell, but I want to say a huge shout out of appreciation for the teachers. You know, seeing all of these 6th graders jumping, running off the bus on Friday afternoon, you really start to realize, especially in 80-degree weather, and I know Ms. Wenzel had said it was one of her toughest years of all the years because of the heat, that it's tough with these exciting 6th graders. So,
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you again. Glad you had a good time. What's next?
All right, next we have just pertaining to the FY24 budget, just some, if you want to share any school committee feedback that you've received.
is this our community correspondence?
Yes.
area? So, at our last meeting, I did put a plea out for parents and other taxpayers to reach out to us. And we did receive an email from a parent who was representing himself and his wife, moved to West Bridgewater for the school system, has 2 young children in the system. And the main message that he imparted to us was that at all costs, do not cut classroom teachers. And he stated, you know, other cuts are not ideal, but students can survive without some things typical of the public school experience. What they cannot afford to have is larger class sizes with an increasingly overworked teacher. He also referenced that this sends a message, it sends teachers a message, which I wholeheartedly agree, from the town that they are not valued as educators. He referenced that an increase in fees will likely not be well received by the community, but You cannot have successful, competitive, extracurricular, and athletic programs without proper funding. I know that's something that we've discussed at many of the meetings before, that if we're looking at just adequate funding, that we can't look at having robust extracurriculars and athletics. He also referenced that unless it would create a need for more staffing, consider looking again at school choice to offset the budget deficit. And he said, in closing, we need our kids to have the education we envisioned when selecting this town. So I felt that this was a very genuine email and really represented, I wish we'd heard from more parents, but I really wanted to summarize this because I think hearing that feedback from parents when we're looking at a lofty list of potential things that we have to cut if our budget does not pass, it's important to hear from the parents. So I appreciated that email.
Excellent. Thank you. And then just a little bit of an update on the budget and talking about potential reductions in the budget. The budget was approved by the school committee and recommended to be reduced by the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee. Just another reminder that the FY24 budget book is available on the website, as well as the new supplemental information, budget information that was put out in the last newsletter. Basically a 2-page document that people can review. When we look at potentially cutting $271,050, we have to look at a variety of different items. So we've kind of detailed them here. I'll go through them. And it's our hope that these don't have to happen. But when you look at the secondary level, we would look at reducing middle senior high school staff by cutting them from a 1.0 full-time to a 0.8 position, which would mean they would decrease in one class that they teach. That decrease, though, would have an effect on the students because there would be a higher student enrollment in those classes if we did that. And also, we put some numbers in here, up to probably $65,000, depending on the number of staff that were reduced. If we eliminate or reduce middle school and JV sports, it would be up to $80,000, which would, again, eliminate options for some of our students. Increasing user fees, $100 from $250 to $350 would be about $25,000, but that would depend on the number of students participating. Our overall number participating is higher than that, but if we don't have the JV sports, then the number would be less. So we're trying to be conservative in our estimates. Implementation of fees for non-athletic extracurricular activities, drama club, our Leo's club, photo club, things like that. We would look at implementing a fee of, say, $50 per student to participate. And we would look at bus fees for grades 7 to 12. Mass General Law requires transportation K to 6, but it does not require it 7 to 12. So we could look at doing fees for that. At the elementary level, we would look at potentially eliminating the 5th teacher in our bubble grades, which next year will be grades 1 to 3 and grade 5, and possibly kindergarten, depending on enrollment. If we were to eliminate a teacher, that would put the class sizes close to or at 30 students. About $65,000 per teacher. We would go off the seniority list when reducing staff. Kindergarten classes right now all have an instructional assistant in them. 2 of them are inclusion, but there are 3 kindergarten classes that have a regular ed instructional assistant. Those classes could be around 25 students with no assistants except in the inclusion classes. At the kindergarten level as well, we have specialists that work in the elementary schools. They work at all 3 buildings. We could eliminate the specialists at the Spring Street School for kindergarten because they do have prep time in the morning. If we did that, they would move from 1.0 to 0.8. And looking at all the different teachers, the 5 different teachers, it would equal about $72,000. And we would look at elimination of the Howard School band classes. So that would be a 0.5 reduction of the Howard School. Again, all cuts have a detrimental impact on the education of our kids. Next, school choice update. I'll be honest, we have not done much in terms of notification of open spots right now. We're looking primarily to start at the middle senior high school, primarily grades 9 to 12. Ninth grade is usually our biggest year due to students going to Southeastern and the agricultural schools and some going to private schools. So we'll look at those first. We have not touched the elementary due to waiting for town meeting and waiting to see what the numbers look like. But once again, this year, I think it'd be very few openings at the elementary level, if any. And then MSBA, so a couple different updates. Last week, we had visitors from the MSBA and some of their consultants come in. They spent the whole day on Tuesday. When I say whole day, they were here about 6:50 in the morning and they stayed till about 2:30. They had asked for schools that are around our age and about kind of 3 to 8 years in existence to do a post-occupancy evaluation. So I jumped at the idea. I thought it'd be great for us to provide feedback to them to help future building projects, which would hopefully be our building project, but also to deepen our relationship with the MSBA. So they watched arrival, they watched dismissal, they met with the administrators, they looked at the educational spaces as well as the back of house maintenance area, cafeteria, and talk to people that were involved in those. So thank you to all the administrators who helped by going through the tours and meeting with them and talking, answering their questions, and I truly feel it was a beneficial experience for us. They also send out surveys to students, staff, and families to gather more information. So I think it was a worthwhile event for them and for us.
Did we get any immediate feedback from them?
Not
How it went building this particular school?
One of the gentlemen on the visit actually was part of the project, so it was nice to get his perspective. I think they felt very positively about the physical building, how well it's been kept up over the years. And I think they're seeing a lot of similar issues in our building that they're seeing in other buildings. For example, lighting was one thing that came up in terms of all the smart technology, lights just going off, not having light switches. We literally call Georgia if we have a lighting issue, and we have to work with them. They will provide us a report back at the end, but again, I think we know internally what the issues are and concerns with the building. We're dealing with them, but they're looking to see if there's consistent things across the board so they can make recommendations. But I will say that educationally, the educational spaces are really operating as they were designed, which is very, very good for us, and it's good for them to see as well. There's no major changes that we made since we've occupied the building.
Yeah. And I think the people in West Bridgewater would probably want them to know about the issues we've had with, was it the boilers, HVAC? Did they get the appropriate level of concern from the town in that regard?
Very much so. It was almost like the tale of 2 days, because the educational piece of it was very positive, enthusiastic, and then when we got to some of the behind-the-scenes kind of things, the HVAC, the lighting, I think they were welcoming the information because it's good for us to share with them so they can hopefully make better recommendations in the future.
Right.
So there was no holding back. And they appreciated that, I think. And they also saw the traffic. They saw the design. So that was good. And they watched people drive into Spring Street as they exited. And we told them some of the difficulties that we're having.
And that was, I know when it was originally designed, we had the parent drop-off in the back, which
Correct.
alleviated all of the
Yes.
bottleneck we have now, but,
Yes.
yeah, so.
We did talk about that and how that was changed with the police, with the one-door system. And they totally understood that.
Yeah.
And
That's not something we really could have predicted. but,
Correct.
Yeah, so.
And on Friday, I submitted to the MSBA our school building committee list. In the final run, it's going to be 25 members. I did talk to them the day before on the phone and gave them an explanation. It was submitted on Friday. I haven't heard back today. It was due today. I am happy with the committee. I think it's got a great mix of school, town, and community members supporting the program. The one thing I took away, and we took away from that meeting with the MSBA, was it's our responsibility to build the best building possible. So we need to ask the questions. We need to be involved. And I think there was a high level of involvement before. Dr. Oakley did a great job leading that committee. There's some things that were just unforeseen that we couldn't really predict. And we also took what they told us as best practices and went with them. So I think by having a real comprehensive group of people that are, have expertise in certain areas, it's going to really help us with a new project. And our next steps are, we have the educational profile questionnaire and online enrollment projection, both due at the end of the month. So we're working on those right now. Next, we have an email, a letter was sent to me for a staff member asking for a leave of absence request to take next year as a leave of absence. Contractually, the staff member followed all obligations, got the notice in on time by the deadline. Contractually, the decision is up to the school committee. I've reviewed the information, and it seems, just that it would move forward. I'm just looking for your guidance in terms of what you think, how we should proceed with this leave of absence request.
Well, I was just going to propose, as you mentioned, it is up to us to grant the leave, but I think that these kinds of personnel questions are more properly within the purview of the superintendent. So I am in favor of leaving the decision whether or not to grant the leave up to Mr. Bodwell. I wanted to see what everyone else thought.
I would agree. It makes sense. Mr. Bodwell is in charge of daily operations and hiring and firing, and leaves of absence is just one, another element of that. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyone
I
else?
think that it's probably best handled by Mr. Bodwell.
Okay.
I agree. Yep.
Okay, so make a motion that we can delegate the authority to make this particular decision to Mr. Bodwell.
I second that.
All right. Any other discussion? No. All right. So moved.
All right.
All in favor, I should say.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
This week, we have the academic showcase brought back last year. It's going to be on May 3rd from 5:30 to 7 here at the Middle Senior High School. So I've asked some of our principals and directors to give a little preview. It's an awesome event. It brings in students and staff K to 12. It's nice because people can come and go as they please and see what's going on. But I think it's always nice for the older parents to see what's going on at the younger level, and vice versa, the younger parents, what to look forward to. So it's a nice, diverse group of presentations, and people can go around and see what's happening here in West Bridgewater. So if the administrators want to give us a few tidbits of information, that'd be awesome.
We're really excited with what the teachers and students are going to be presenting for the Spring Street and Roselle schools. The kindergarten students will be displaying their phonemic awareness and phonics skills by demonstrating the skills they have practiced in small group this year. Students will demonstrate using hands-on activities showing their word attack skills, strategies for reading words, and strategies for writing CVC words. Some of our grade 1 ML students will be sharing some robots they created and labeled with English words and descriptions written in English. The other grade 1 student will be sharing their weather journals they've been working on this year. Grade 1 and 2 students will be showing off their sound drills that they have been practicing all year using our new Foundations program. The teachers will highlight the magnetic boards to show the interactive hands-on aspects of the program. Students will impress others with their knowledge of different syllable types by tapping out, writing, and marking words. And I know for a fact I've seen the grade 1 and 2 students practicing. They're going to really be showing their teachers up, I can tell you that. The fraction turtle lesson is a great way to introduce fractions to third graders in a hands-on way. During this lesson, students will be able to distinguish parts of a whole. Students will be showcasing their knowledge by breaking clay into equal parts and putting the parts back together to make a whole turtle. So they're really excited to see what they have to show us.
Mine, I'm not going to lie, won't be as in detail as Principal Goulet, because I might have spaced that right up, but I do know what's happening. In 4th grade, Miss Winter is presenting on a story from the new curriculum, Wit and Wisdom. It's all about the heart. It lasted for a while, but the kids had a lot of fun with it. It's very hands-on, and I wish you could sort of see more of a clip of it actually happening in class, because all of 4th grade you could see having a phenomenal time. In 6th grade, Mrs. Wenzel will be doing also a heart research project, and Miss Mills will be presenting on an Egypt exhibit. We'll also have a table for Nature's Classroom, and Miss Sophia Sullivan, our STEM teacher, will be presenting on the Legos that we got last year with one of our grants from the Howard trustees.
And I'm representing the high school. So, the high school students, led by Mrs. Edlin, will present their French music project. Mrs. Mishley's students will present poetry. Mr. McMurray's students are going to showcase their guitar projects, which are always a big hit, and robotics. Mrs. Brogna will do an anatomy and physiology presentation with her seniors, juniors and seniors. We also will have some seniors presenting their senior projects. We'll also have the art show in the art gallery and a puppetry display. Mr. Cray will work on, have his students performing the mock morning news production in the TV studio, which is always a big hit. The Tri-M students will perform their coffee shop performance. They'll be at the main entrance. Some of the seniors are going to hold some rec games in the gym. And we'll have various tech demonstrations in the senior lounge up here by the Mrs. Edgar's tech students, and she says potentially some game demos as well. And then the 8th graders will present some of their senior projects. Even though they're not due, some of them felt confident enough to come present already, so exciting. And we may have a visit from a special little penguin. So keep your eyes open, and hopefully everyone can make it. It's going to be a great night. So.
Yeah, and all are welcome. I know we had a World Culture Night, and some people laughed at facts, and I thought that was just the high school. No, this is for the whole district to showcase what's going on. So very excited, and a huge thank you to the administrators and all their teachers and students for giving of their time.
And I highly recommend people attend if you can. As Ms. Bottle said, you can just pop in and out if your time allows, and it's just, you just walk around and just see all the kids and everything that they've been working on, and they're excited, and it's really a good night if you can make it. I'll be there.
Next. So I just, again, want to bring up for discussion again, the town warrant to move about $91,000 from an account of unexpected school capital projects, and just discuss that. Just so people are aware, right now in the sped stabilization is about $49,000, but that's less the $30,000 that was approved by the school committee and the Board of Selectmen to look for a transportation vehicle. So it's about $19,000 left in there. And I don't know if Hume, you want to talk about this?
Yeah. So, as Mr. Bottle just said, we had made a decision to, thanks to Mrs. Grant's detective work and sort of finding this fund out there, that we would have a warrant at town meeting to move that money to our sped stabilization request. And upon further discussion, it was kind of a group idea. We thought, well, because our budget was chosen not to be fully funded by the Select Board and FinCom, why don't we propose instead of funding our stabilization account this year, give that back toward free cash? So we did talk to Mr. Gagney today, and he was on board with that, and he stated that he would recommend to FinCom and the Board of Selectmen to fully fund our budget if we sort of compromise and choose to, instead of funding stabilization, give that money back to free cash for the town. So, you know, it was a very good conversation we had. It was, we think we both felt like it was a good compromise. And again, this isn't money that we're taking away from special education. We established that stabilization fund, I think it was in 2020, with the idea that we would try to fund it every year, you know, to have as a backup if we need it. But I think for this year, that money is more warranted to give back to the town so that we can get our budget fully funded.
And just so everyone's clear, Mrs. Graham, can you explain where that money, what that 91,000 is comprised of?
Sure. There was a school district warrant account, and it dates back to like 1998 or even earlier. And all different warrants that were for the school committee, for the school during the town meeting that were passed, went into this one account. There were bond proceeds in it, and additional warrants such as, say, a sped stabilization, if that had existed. And I worked with the town accountant to go back, and we were unable to find out why we had this balance of almost 92,000 left. Bond proceeds have been all paid off correctly, and it was just impossible to trace which warrant the remainder was specific to. So, you know, upon discussion, we thought that the best move would be to transfer this money at the time, sped stabilization. It came up as the most likely place to put the funds because we could use it again for the school. But again, like our discussion today, it really is important to compromise a little on the budget. And what this will do is by putting it back into free cash, it will allow the town to fully fund our budget, but it won't be taking as much money from the free cash line. I mean, that'll leave them, they'll have to take about $180,000 roughly out of free cash to fully fund our budget. I think it's a good move. It shows flexibility on all sides. We will always fund special education to what our students require, and it's by law, so we aren't going to leave anybody unfunded by moving funds back.
So I think having our fully funded school district budget recommended by both the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen would be great. I've also been hearing some community feedback, not through email directly to the the school committee, but just through word of mouth. And I think we were going to have a lot of people show up to the town meeting very excited to support the schools. So I feel like we probably were going to get our full budget passed, but I definitely would like to go into it knowing that other parts of the town support that fully funded school budget too. Now, if Mr. Gagné makes a recommendation that they support it, but they don't, what would we do then? Would we be giving back money that could have been in the special education stabilization fund and then essentially getting nothing in return for it?
Well, I think what's important is that our budget is Article 4, and the special ed stabilization is like, is it 11 or 25?
It's a little bit further down.
25,
It's
yeah.
after 4.
So it may even be heard on a separate day if the meeting goes too long, because we can't take any votes after 11 p.m.
True, that's true. I think, you know, I'm hearing what Dave is saying, and I am a proponent of doing this. I think one of the things that I've been saying all along to anyone who will listen to me is that in looking at the overall town budget and looking at, will we make an additional $350,000 payment towards the middle senior high school? We're putting away $150,000 towards sidewalks. These are all things that, you know, we're saving for a rainy day. And I understand that if we need money to fund special education, we have to have a special town meeting. I'm not worried about us going over and then not finding that money. Of course, you know, it'd be nice to have it in special ed stabilization so that we don't have to, so that it's there, so that we can fund it if we need to. My concern is, to your point, Dave, there are a lot of parents and non-parent taxpayers who are ready to come to town meeting, and I hope that they still come to town meeting. Because my concern is, so our budget was cut by 271, or not cut, but the recommended cut was $271,000. So now we are offering to give back 91,000, and that changes the recommendation. So to me, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense that us giving back the 91, which I'm fully on board with, changes all the facts and figures. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And so I worry that next year this is going to happen again.
Exactly.
And that the message needs to be received that we value our teachers, we value our students, and that our budget needs to be funded. And again, I've said to anyone who will listen to me, I'm not in this for the politics. I'm in this for the kids, for the teachers, for the school department. And this feels like a political move. I'm in favor of it, don't get me wrong, because I want our budget to be funded, and I think I would like to see us be flexible where we can, put in that 91,000, take potentially some money from the middle senior high school, extra payment, but what happens next year if we don't have something to compromise with? Do we have to
Yeah, this is
fight
sort
hard?
of a one-time
So it's a
chip
worry.
that we have to bargain with.
Yeah.
But I think going forward, we need to have more constant communication with the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen about the school budget and why it is what it is, and that maybe they can see the process of what number we're starting at when we arrive at something that we decide is final and bring it to them. You know, maybe they see that we've already cut some things that we can cut. And I think that open conversation with them is going to help us make sure that we do have their support when we bring our budget to them in future years. So I've spoken with some of the selectmen. I haven't spoken to Mr. Gagny in a few weeks about this particular subject even. But I think we should start this dialogue, and maybe our budget committee, subcommittee, can meet with them a couple of times throughout the year, so that as the budget is being developed, they understand why we're saying this is what the school budget needs to be.
I would agree.
And what I hear and what I like is that still maintaining the fully funded school committee budget is the most important part of this. And I think that shows that that's what we need, that's what we built the budget on. We're not backing off that. And I agree, having meetings to be informative and sharing information, we've done it before, and I think it helped us move in the right direction. I think budget subcommittee, members of the Finance Committee and Board of Selectmen, we're going to have issues moving forward with ESSER funds going away, with school choice numbers going down. So that's going to directly affect our budget requests in the future. That's beyond what we need for in our budget to operate the schools. We're going to have less funding available. So the more open and constant the communication is, I think, will be helpful so we don't get to this point. So they do hopefully better understand what the needs are.
I do want to, just before we move on, I want to echo one more thing that you said, Dave. I do worry. You know, Article 4 is the total budget. And then we have the Special Education Stabilization Fund further down, and we have the touch panels further down. But this is a recommendation from the town administrator. So the Board of Selectmen has already voted. The Finance Committee have already voted. And
4 times.
yeah, so does his recommendation change those votes so drastically? I worry about that too.
Well, the Finance Committee had several votes on various numbers. And I think the idea of giving something back does sway more votes in favor of supporting the full budget. I guess we'll depend on the persuasiveness of Mr. Gagnon.
And I do think, and correct me if I'm wrong, if the school budget is passed in Article 4, then when we get to the warrant article about this, then that just wouldn't be moved forward because those funds would already be expended in the school budget.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know if we need a motion to, well, maybe we'll just do one just
I think it might be a
cover it.
good
Yeah.
idea, just so we know how people are feeling.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we omit Article 25 from the town meeting, and instead of transferring the $91,981 from the unexpected school capital projects warrant account to fund special education stabilization account, we instead give it back to free cash for the town.
Can I just ask,
Yeah.
is that as long as the budget
But it's
is?
fully funded.
Fully
Yes.
funded?
Yep. Is there a second? Second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so moved. Thank you. I think next up is under business.
No, I have
Oh, we
my
do goals
goals.
first, sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm just going to talk a little bit about my 6 goals. There's a mix of student learning, professional practice, and school improvement goals that I've shared with you at the beginning of the school year. A huge thank you to the administration for all their hard work. Their boots on the ground doing a lot of this work, and I'm working with them. So they've done a great job. These goals are ongoing. Some have been a continuation from last year. Some will be a continuation moving forward. I think with 6 goals, there's a lot of things going on. There's more than 6, initiatives going on in the district, but you're trying to focus on these and report back. Always looking for ways to improve what we do here in the schools, and I'll be sharing more detailed information with you by May 15th for the evaluation. When we look at all school goals and initiatives, it's always focusing back on the kids. That is the primary focus, on the students in the buildings and giving them the best education possible. So I'll just go quickly through the goals. If you have any questions, please stop me. But the first goal has to do with addressing lack of resources in West Bridgewater. This has been a goal that I've had for a couple of years now, trying to address the budget concerns that we've had and continue to have, and hopefully we'll get better in the future. But it's some of the things that I've done over the years is, having regular meetings with the business manager to create and work on the FY24 budget, as well as meetings with members of the admin team to focus on what are our greatest needs. Gathering relevant data to show the needs and the lack of resources within the district. We're constantly looking to see how we stand against others. We care most about what's going on in West Bridgewater, but it's also good to look at what other districts have and where are we falling short in terms of resources. Constantly reviewing grant funding and looking at grants. Our admin team has done a really nice job about looking at different grants. Mrs. Giannis, how much in grants this year for curriculum?
$379,000.
Of money that we've been able to pay for things out of grants.
Was that $379,000? Incredible.
So, and that shows a lot, that helps us financially, but it's also providing our staff and students with resources. Through school committee meetings, coffee hours, social media, and newsletters, sharing relevant information about what we're doing, where our lack of resources are hindering us, and what we need to do moving forward. The creation of the FY24 budget book and the supplemental budget information. Again, it was a lot of work to do, but hopefully year after year it'll build on itself. And again, I hope it's the go-to book for people when they have questions or concerns. And I think we'll just continue to fine-tune and add information every year. And then ultimately, we created a budget that addresses the needs of West Bridgewater, knowing that we have more needs moving forward. We're not done. We're not shy about saying that. There are more needs that we have, and we'll continue to add them as appropriate. The second goal has to do with instructional leadership and student achievement. It always should be a huge focus in every school district. Scheduling weekly meetings with the admin team. And this year I started to rotate locations. We'd have one meeting in Spring Street, and then I'd go to their school. I think honestly, next year moving forward, I'd like to just go to their schools every time, to meet with them and then walk around the building as often as we can. As we walk, holding walkthroughs, both individually and several times this year, we've held group walkthroughs in different buildings, and then we were able to talk about what we saw, looking at instructional strategies, working with the admin team to continue use of STAR program for gathering assessment data and DIBELS at the elementary level. Reviewing MCAS scores and creating action plans and reviewing those action plans with the administrators and with the teachers. Working with the admin team to oversee the use of the coordinators and the instructional team leaders at the elementary level. And discussing with the admin team the use of common planning time and potential schedule changes to increase student achievement, where we're integrating win blocks and other things. Goal 3 has to do with the implementation of new programs, and we're talking about the elementary literacy programs and the new math program, the illustrative math program at the middle senior high school. So working with the admin team on our professional development plan that's been ongoing. We revisit it. We look to make sure we have a comprehensive plan that will address the needs of our staff. So we make sure we're giving them the most meaningful professional development to make them the most effective they can in the classroom and for the future. Work with the admin team on the best use of this time and common planning time to implement the programs. They've had some needs, some requests. We've tried to figure out who we could get in for speakers, what we can do to provide them with that professional development. Regular meetings with the admin team to discuss the programs and areas of need, what's going well, what's not going so well. I've also was able to sit in on the grade 4 common planning time as they planned their end of unit 1, I think, with the heart, when they did all the heart stuff down in the gym at the Howard School. That was a lot of fun to hear the planning and then go see it in action. Again, use of newsletters, coffee hours, and social media to share relevant information. Mrs. Giannis came and recently spoke at the coffee hour and talked about the programs. And meetings with the director of curriculum to discuss grant status and implementation to make sure we've got things in place moving forward.
I have a quick indirect question.
Go ahead.
You referenced common planning time. How much do all the grade levels have common planning time? And if so, how much?
They do, to certain degrees. I know it's at the Howard School. How? Just so I don't give misinformation.
75 minutes every other week.
Okay. At the middle senior high school, they have it every other week, I think, where the departments meet together during power block. And
At McDonald School, they have 45 minutes a day, their common planning time. And at Spring Street, they have, the Spring Street Teachers' Day starts earlier.
Yeah.
Then the students come and have about 45 minutes to an hour every day.
Yeah. I only ask because I know common planning time is gold, to be able to work smarter, not harder, to be able to collaborate. There's to have two people basically parallel working and not have enough common planning time. You're duplicating efforts.
I
That was my
agree,
key.
and it's great to see now with these new programs, when you walk into a grade level and you're walking through different classrooms and you're hearing the same, they're on the same story, they're using the same language, they're talking the same, same information. It's really awesome to see. And again, with these new programs, I want to give again another shout out to our teachers, because it's a lot. It's a heavy lift. There's a lot going on, and they're learning as they go, but they're working really hard at it. I'm proud of them. Goal 4, social emotional learning and a culture of belonging. Again, this really makes, you want to make sure that the kids feel safe and belong, and we're doing the best we can with SEL. This is a goal that certainly will continue. Having regular meetings with the admin team to discuss supports that we have in place. SEL teams at each school working hard to integrate programs, relying on the staff in the buildings to really help create these programs, planning for next year professional development to integrate different programs. We've had a day in February, I believe we had the day where they did SEL stuff themselves, because to do it themselves, they practice what they're preaching to the kids, and they really see the importance of that. We've used a consultant, Elise Wolf, to provide professional development, observations, and consultations with staff on inclusive practices. She's done in-person, she's done virtual, she's come in, she's observed classrooms, giving direct feedback to the educators after, meaningful feedback. And we've had initial discussion to increase the READY initiative, racial equity, diversity, and inclusion, both in West Bridgewater, and we're planning for next year. So that's kind of our next steps.
I'm really looking forward to, not to put Mr. Lehman on the spot, but he sent out an email a couple of days ago, I think, with the upcoming dates, and I'm really looking forward to some of the upcoming talks that are happening with the sixth graders, because I know there's been a lot of, there's a lot going on with the students, using terms that maybe they don't fully understand, terms maybe they've heard at home, maybe they've heard on social media, that are very hurtful and racially motivated. And so I'm looking forward to hearing how that goes, and for, in general, the district working towards just making sure that that we're really boosting up our social and emotional learning and our culture of belonging, because it's really disappointing to me to hear, I mean, we all met Hannah tonight, some of the things that she comes home saying that her peers are saying to each other based on skin color, and that's really disappointing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad
I
that
agree,
we're...
Robin, I reached out to Mr. Lehman as soon as I read the email, within like seconds, and told him how happy I was to see that that was being offered, because my child's come home and said the same thing.
Thank you. Goal 5, the school building project. So we did participate in the senior study with the MSBA in October. We were selected to enter into eligibility phase in December of this year. We gathered all relevant information and data with assistance from our admin team to submit the statement of interest for the Howard School this past April. Provided information about building projects to the community through school committee meetings, social media posting, coffee hours, and district newsletters. We met March 1st, we started the eligibility period, which started the clock ticking towards the feasibility vote within 270 days. And this past Friday, submitted the school building committee list to the MSBA. So we're checking off the boxes as we go. It's certainly going to continue to be a lot of work, but I think the collaboration of everyone involved and keeping people informed. As we go through this, we know long-term we're talking about town meeting votes, and therefore we want to be as transparent as possible and have a good cohesive committee that has a good plan in place. And finally, this, goal 6, planning for success, our district plan. Work with the admin team to select members of the committee, which ended up being 31 members to begin this past September. We want to make sure we had good representation, and I feel we did in that group. We had 7 full team meetings and 4 leadership team meetings during the fall. We worked with a DESE-approved consultant to help facilitate and plan the meetings. I thought she did a great job, and I think everyone worked really well together. We provided regular updates on plan of success to the community during school committee meetings, social media, coffee hours, and the newsletters. We created strategic objectives, strategic initiatives, and intended outcomes as part of the plan. And the 4 objectives were student success, curriculum, staff development, and facilities and resources. Out of those 4 resulted in 28 initiatives and 15 outcomes. And we created action plans for the spring and planned a meeting already with the group again in September. So, and that actually came from a staff member, a teacher, said, hey, are we going to get back together? And I said, let's schedule a meeting, let's come back together and talk about it, because we don't want it to be something that sits on the shelf. We want it to be an active document that we're living by, because a lot of time was spent and a lot of good energy was put into this. So those are the 6 goals. I'll give you some hard evidence as well, but I think it touches on a lot of different areas that we're focusing on in the district.
I think we said when you first submitted those that 6 is lofty. And, yeah, thank you for that update. Good job. All right, so under business, we had mentioned last time that our next meeting on June 5th conflicts with the athletic awards that are scheduled here at the Middle Senior High School that begin at 6:30. So I think, just to put it out there, I think we all can make 5 o'clock start for that meeting. And then with Mrs. Ellis having a senior, that she needs to get down there right on time. If we are running over 6:30, you're free to leave next month and get down there, and we will carry on without you. All right, so 5 o'clock for our next meeting time. And then also under business, superintendent evaluation process, we just got an update on Mr. Bodwell's goals. And I think I mentioned last time, but just to reiterate, on May 15th, you'll have all your evidence to us. And then our target date to have our individual evaluations complete is May 22nd. And I did reach out to our former school committee member, Mr. Yo, and he is willing to do an evaluation as well, so he's going to meet that date. And then I'll go ahead and compile a summative evaluation that we'll present at our June meeting. And I mentioned too, I don't know if you've seen it, but in our shared drive, there's a template, so if everyone can just make a copy of that, and designate it as your own and fill it out and either get it to me or put it back in the shared drive. I'll use that to compile our complete evaluation. Any questions on that? No? All right, Inclusion Matters update, Mrs. Dragonetti.
The mission of Inclusion Matters as West Bridgewater Special Education Parent Advisory Council is to build inclusive schools and communities. We do this by supporting families of students with IEPs and 504s and including regular education parents by offering advice, advocacy within the school system, and opportunities for education and community building through regular workshops and events for parents, guardians, and families. Please join us on May 18th for our final webinar of the year, Supporting Your Child with Dyslexia. Inclusion Matters and the East Bridgewater CPAC will proudly be welcoming Dr. Joanna Christodoulou, Associate Professor at MGH Institute of Health Professions. Dr. Christodoulou is a leading Massachusetts expert on dyslexia and other communication disorders. She'll present for 45 minutes about dyslexia, providing strategies for parents and guardians who want to better support their child or teen with dyslexia, and she'll take time to answer questions too. This event will be held on Thursday, May 18th at 7 o'clock via Zoom. Spring is one of our favorite times of the year, as it is time that we recognize and appreciate the educators who do so much for our children. At the end of this month, Inclusion Matters will award our 4th annual Grant of Gratitude to at least one West Bridgewater teacher, therapist, staff person, or administrator in recognition of their inclusive efforts in the classroom, school, or district. We need your help. Tell us who should be celebrated for going above and beyond in fostering an inclusive classroom. Visit our website for more details, but be sure to act fast as the deadline for submission is Monday, May 15th. Also this month, we'll be accepting donations as part of our 2023 graduation seat raffle. For just $20.23, you can enter to win 4 priority seats at this year's graduation. Entry forms and donations are due by Friday, May 19th to the Middle Senior High School main office, and the winner will be announced early the following week. Don't miss this chance to win a great view of every moment with this year's graduates. Congratulations, class of 2023. In the words of Marco Bizzarri, diversity and inclusion, which are the real grounds for creativity, must remain at the center of what we do. For more information about Inclusion Matters and this year's past events, you can find us on Facebook at Inclusion Matters MA or by visiting our website at www.inclusionmattersma.com.
Great, thank you very much. And next up is policies.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to open the following policies for review at our June meeting. BDE, subcommittees of the school committee. BDF, advisory committees to the school committee. BDG, school attorney. BEDG, minutes. BGD, school committee review of procedures. JJF, student activity accounts. JIB, student involvement in decision making. JRA, student records. And JRD, student photographs. Can I get a second?
Second.
These are just, we're going through the MASC list. Any further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, our next policy, set of policies. So we have quite a few to go through. There actually weren't a ton of changes, but I am gonna make 5 different motions here, because there's a lot of combination of policies. It'll make sense as we go through. So the first motion, I'd like to move to adopt policies CHCA, approval of handbooks and directives, KDB, public's right to know, and KHB, advertising in schools as revised. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, discussion?
Yes, so for these 3, there really weren't a lot of changes. There was just some wordsmithing, minor edits, but there was 0 changes to the content.
Any other questions, discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'd like to move to adopt policy BDFA, school councils, as written, and rescind existing policy BDFAE3, conduct of school council business, in favor of the revised policy BDFA. Can I get a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yep, so BDFA was absorbed BDFA-E-3. It was all the same language that was there, but it was consolidated into one policy. Also, there was some language removed from BDFA that referred to a student advisory committee and a standing committee, which exists in our current policies, JIB and BDF.
All right, any further discussion or questions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'd like to move to adopt policy BDFAE, school improvement plan, as written, and rescind existing policies BDFAE1, school improvement plan, and BDFAE2, submission and approval of school improvement plan, in favor of this policy BDFAE. Can I get a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yep, so BDFA-E was fully absorbs and consolidates the BDFA-E-1 and -2. All the same language is there, but again, consolidated into one policy.
Any questions or further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Move to adopt policy CHA/CHC, development and dissemination of procedures, as written, and rescind existing policies CHA, development of procedures, and CHC, dissemination of procedures, in favor of this policy CHA/CHC. Second? Can you get a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yep, so this is, combines both policies with no major changes.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and the final one. I'd like to move to hold policy JJE, student fundraising activities. I'd like to hold it open for further review and discussion at the June meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, so discussion on this. JJE has significant changes from 2021, which would really impact student fundraising activities in the district, specifically the fun run. And I think it's the best interest of the district to solicit more feedback from stakeholders, from parents, from the PTO, prior to making any major changes to this policy. The new, if you open our shared drive, you'll see it's labeled Hold for June JJE Student Fundraising Activities. The existing policy is all there, and then at the bottom of the policy is all of the new proposed language from MASC, and it's completely different. So I think that we need to have kind of a discussion about some of these points, and consider it and take some time to think about it before
Yeah, because what we came up against
make
was,
some-
it specifies, it says fundraising activities may not involve competitions among students. Students may not be rewarded with additional recess, snacks, activities, or any type of prize for having raised larger amounts of funds, reaching fund goals. So when we came across this, as Robin said, we felt, uncomfortable knowing how successful things like the fun run have been and how much it funds our schools. So,
I do think that there is some valuable language in here, and so maybe if we do get some feedback from the community and from other members, and from administration and from teachers in terms of what we'd like to see for a policy. I think some of the valuable points here are just, the exploitation of students. If we're asking students to go home and, bring in money, and I know the fun run, people are kind of in the classroom, and how much instruction time does it take up? But the fun run raises a fair amount of money. I mean, I think it was something like $60,000 last year. So it's something to really think about and consider.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I'm waiting on that one and
Yeah.
really doing some more research.
I felt like a hornet's nest over
Yes,
that one up,
yes.
So is the concern that the fun run itself is some kind of competition? And was there a reward associated with?
Yeah, so the way the fun run works is the kids are encouraged to, so there are people from the fun run, and it's my understanding that there's different levels of the fun run that we could kind of subscribe to. But the way the fun run works is a company comes in and sets up, you've seen it all over the parking lot and whatnot, and they really get the kids pumped up about fitness. And the kids are encouraged to go home, set up their platforms, and solicit donations from family. My concern, and I'll be completely honest about this, is a concerning that I've had about the fun run. I choose to do what the heck, write a check. I get out my checkbook and I write $100 for each kid and send it into the PTO, because I know the fun run takes about 50% of what the kids bring in. And so I also worry about the amount of instruction time. I worry about having these kids in the classroom, or the people in the classroom, and kind of hijacking that time. I know my own children come home and say, we gotta sign up my platform, I gotta get money, we gotta get an extra recess. And to me, I feel that that makes me uncomfortable. I don't like that in my child's classroom. So I'm being honest, but I'm one member, so it's just something to think about.
And with the whole thing with the incentives, it just made me think back to my days with my kids doing the book fair and how you'd get like different prizes based on the books you buy, and I don't know if that would,
I wonder too, so I don't really pay attention enough, I think, to the fundraisers, but are there incentives on any of the other fundraisers that come through? Do you know? Like the butter braids, and I don't even know if we still have wrapping paper.
Yeah, you would get prizes, an extra sticker or a bookmark or whatever if you reach a certain level, but I don't know if that pertains to this, but.
I don't think we've ever achieved those levels.
Yeah.
No, I know what you're saying, Robin, and I hear you. My kids have participated, and they have absolutely loved it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, sign me up, get this registration, and I'm trying to work and do 50 other things. The pressure that the kids were feeling, I think, was a lot. At one point, I didn't really feel it this year, but then maybe I only had one running this year, so maybe that was it. But I know how much money it has brought in, and how much the kids that have participated have enjoyed it. So we decided that we're gonna let it mull for a while.
And I can work with the admin team to get some input.
Get some more information for us in terms of how much time it does take up. Again, I'm going to say it again, I'd love to hear from parents on this. I'd love to hear from teachers on this. As one parent, I'm more than happy to write a check for $100 and send it in, and just not do the fun run.
And I think it might be different now with the PTO. I mean, I've never been on the PTO, but I think at one point there was, the work that went into it, I think it's shifted a little bit, I guess, is my point. I don't know, maybe we could even hear from the PTO as well.
So I think that was our discussion. So all in favor of holding it a month?
Aye. Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Still on to you with your warrants, yes.
The following warrants were issued and paid for the fiscal year 2023. Bill warrants, April 6, 2023, $64,766.09. April 13th, 2023, $152,247.35. April 20th, 2023, $62,243.29. And on April 27th, 2023, there was no warrant. the following two payroll warrants. April 14th, 2023 for $564,707.81, and April 28th, 2023 for $560,130.47. As always, all warrants are public record, and once signed are available in the Selectman's office for review.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dragonetti. Public comment. Members of the audience wishing to address the committee may do so at this time. Audience members are reminded that personnel issues or issues that would violate student or employee confidentiality cannot be addressed during the public comment. All right, seeing none, we will move on to the calendar events. There is a lot. District-wide, on May 3rd, we'll have a half-day. For district meetings, our next superintendent coffee hour will be Thursday, May 4th, correct?
Yes,
Thursday. At 9:15. The next PTO meeting is May 3rd at 7 o'clock in the RLM CAF. The next athletic boosters meeting will be May 10th at 7 o'clock here in the Learning Commons. And the next boosters for music meeting will be May 15th at 6 o'clock in the MSHS band room. At the middle senior high school, on May 2nd is the athletics mattress fundraiser meeting at 6:30, which will be in the gym. On May 3rd, as we mentioned, that academic showcase from 5 to 7:30 will be happening. On May 5th is the junior prom grand march at 6 o'clock in the gym. On May 6th, the scholarship drive at the transfer station and at the intersection of Spring and Howard from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. will be taking place. On May 7th, the Walk for Pediatric Cancer at the track will be taking place from 4 to 7. On May 10th, a Music Boosters Banquet at 5 p.m. in the CAF. May 11th is the spring concert at 5:30 in the auditorium. May 12th is the middle school's semi-formal from 7 to 9 p.m. in the gym. On May 20th is the actual mattress fundraiser to benefit the athletics in the CAF. May 22nd is the senior awards night. Refreshments will begin at 5:30 and the awards will start at 6 o'clock. May 26th is graduation at War Memorial Park at 6 o'clock. And on June 5th, as we mentioned, the athletic awards night will begin at 6:30 in the gym.
Mr. Yu, just one
Yes.
quick
I missed
correction.
one?
No, the academic showcase is 5:30 to 7.
Oh, okay. What did I say?
No, you said it.
Oh.
It's printed.
It's wrong. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's all
Sorry
right.
about that. Okay, at Howard School for MCAS, grade 4 math will be held on May 10th and 11th. Grade 5th math will be held on May 2nd and 4th. Grade 5 science, May 16th and 17th, and grade 6 math on May 8th and 9th. On May 3rd, the grade 6 CyberSense social media presentation will take place. On May 12th, the grade 6 will have a mock trial. On May 25th, third grades will take a visit to Howard. And on June 2nd, the sixth graders will come up to visit here in the middle senior high school. At the Roselle McDonald School, May 5th, grade 2 is a trip to the Boston Aquarium. On May 12th, also for grade 2, is a field trip Boston Tea Party. On May 16th and 18th for grade 3, Math MCAS. May 25th, Prismatic Magic Laser Mania Show for grade 2, sponsored by the PTO. We thank them for that. On May 31st, grade 1 will take a field trip to the Southwick Zoo. June 1st is grade 3 field day. On June 5th is the Barnes Babies presentation for grade 1, also sponsored by the PTO. At Spring Street on May 10th and 11th will be Life Touch Spring Pictures. On May 18th will be the Barnes Babies presentation, again sponsored by the PTO. And then on May 23rd and 25th is the preschool screenings. Our next regularly scheduled school committee meeting will be on Monday, June 5th, again at the 5 p.m. start time here in the Learning Commons. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor? All right, have a good night. Thank you.